Your mind is not a mirror, it's a lens. How you think shapes what you see. Shift your thinking, and your reality follows. This thought challenges the belief that circumstances define perception. It's the lens you choose. You see, most people go through life thinking their mind is just reflecting what's happening around them, like it's some kind of mirror, passively showing back reality as it is. But the truth is, your mind isn't a mirror. It's a lens, and that lens is shaped by everything you've experienced, everything you've been taught, everything you've believed, whether it was true or not. What you see isn't just what's out there, it's also what's been built in here. And if the lens is cracked with fear, or smudged with shame, or tinted with trauma, you'll see the world through that distortion. That's why two people can walk through the same situation and come out with completely different stories. One sees opportunity, the other sees rejection. One sees a closed door, the other sees redirection. It's not about the door, it's about the lens. So when people say, "This is just the way life is," they're often just describing the way they see it. Their perception, their programming. This is where transformation begins, not by forcing life to change, but by changing the lens you're looking through. Because your thoughts are powerful, they are filters, constantly shaping what you notice, what you feel, what you believe is possible. And here's the thing, you don't see life as it is, you see it as you are. And until you get honest about the lens you've been using, you'll keep repeating cycles you were meant to heal from. There was a time when I used to wake up and brace myself for struggle. I expected things to go wrong. I expected people to let me down, and without even realizing it, I was training my mind to search for disappointment. I was filtering life through fear and calling it wisdom, and I know some of you are doing the same. You've gotten so used to being let down that you've stopped looking up. But I want to tell you something today. You have the power to adjust your lens. You are not stuck, you are not broken, and you are not bound to your past interpretations. This shift begins with one intentional decision, to question the thought that says this is just who I am, or this is just how life is. No, that's just how you've been seeing it. And just like a lens on a camera can be swapped out, your mind can be renewed, the story can be retold, and the same life that once felt heavy can begin to feel sacred just by changing the way you see it. Because when you shift your lens, you shift your life. Now let me tell you something that changed my life. What you focus on expands. That's not just a pretty phrase you put on your vision board. That's a spiritual law. That's how energy works. That's how life works. You see, your mind is a spotlight. Whatever you shine it on starts to grow. If you shine it on fear, that fear will start to feel bigger than it really is. If you shine it on your pain, suddenly your pain becomes your identity. But if you dare to shine that same light on what's still good, what's still working, what's still worthy inside you, something begins to shift. The mistake most people make is thinking they're just observing life. No, you are participating in it with every thought, every reaction, every focus. You're not a bystander. You're a co-creator, and the energy you bring into your day, it multiplies. If you wake up bitter, you start attracting moments that justify that bitterness. If you wake up grateful, your awareness sharpens, you start noticing the things you used to overlook. The smile from a stranger, the strength in your own breath, the way the light falls across your floor in the morning, and you realize joy was never gone. It was just hidden beneath your focus. Now, don't get me wrong. Life will test you. It will hand you moments that make it hard to focus on anything other than the pain. But that's when you have to be more intentional than ever. Because in those moments, your focus becomes your fight. Will you focus on what left you, or what's still here? Will you focus on who hurt you or who's still loving you? Will you focus on what didn't happen or the door that might be opening because of it? Some of you are wondering why things keep going wrong, why your energy feels drained, why you feel like you're stuck in the same emotional loop. And I'll tell you, check your focus. If all you're doing is replaying the worst case scenarios in your mind, reliving betrayals, preparing for disappointment, then you're creating more of that experience. Not because life is punishing you, but because your focus is feeding it. What you feed grows, what you starve dies. That applies to weeds and to worry, and I know it takes practice. I know it takes patience, but the truth is, your freedom starts the moment you stop letting your focus be hijacked by fear and start choosing, day by day, to feed faith, feed peace, feed purpose. Because when you focus on what's true, what's good, what's still possible, that is exactly what begins to expand in your life. And that shift in focus, that shift in what you give your energy to, asterisk, is the beginning of your transformation. Asterisk. You ever sit alone in silence and suddenly your mind starts racing? 1 minute you're fine, and the next, you're spiraling thinking about what they said, what might happen, what could go wrong. That's the mind doing what it does best, thinking. But here's the truth, most people don't realize you are not your thoughts. You are the one asterisk watching asterisk your thoughts. That sensitivity awareness right there, that's your power. Choosing between them, thoughts are like clouds. They drift in, some dark and heavy, others light and passing. But they're not asterisk you asterisk. They don't define you. They don't speak absolute truth. They are temporary visitors shaped by your past, your environment, your fears, your habits. And just because they show up doesn't mean they deserve to stay. Yet so many of us, we take every thought personally. We latch onto every negative voice in our head as if it's gospel. I'm not good enough. I'll never change. They'll never love me. That voice, that inner critic, it's loud, I know. But you don't have to believe it. You don't have to become asterisk it. There's a part of you, a deeper part, that's always calm, always clear. It doesn't panic. It doesn't rush. It watches, it listens, and it knows. That's the observer in you. That's the part that notices when you're slipping into anxiety, when you're reacting from old pain, when you're believing a story that no longer serves you. And when you can connect with that part of yourself, when you can pause, breathe, and say, wait, is this thought even true? You begin to reclaim your peace. We live in a world that rewards reaction. Everything is fast, everything is loud, but the real transformation happens in the stillness. In the space between the thought and the reaction. That's where your power is. That's where your healing begins. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to fight every negative thought. You just have to stop letting them run the show. You don't have to argue with them, suppress them, or fear them. You just let them pass like clouds. Like weather, you return to the seat of the observer, grounded and present. And let me tell you, when you start living from that space, you stop getting tossed around by life. You stop being a slave to your emotions. You stop chasing validation and fearing rejection. You begin to realize that peace was never out there. It was always inside. It just got buried under all that mental noise. So the next time your mind starts running with fear or shame or self-doubt, just remember, you don't have to go with it. You don't have to believe everything you think. Because asterisk, you are not your thoughts, asterisk. You are the one who hears them. And that makes you more powerful than you ever imagined. Have you ever had a moment where someone said something small, barely anything at all, and suddenly you feel your whole body tense up? Your heart races, your voice rises, You're not just reacting to asterisk them asterisk. You're reacting to asterisk something in you asterisk. That right there is what I've learned over and over again. Every reaction reveals either a wound or a wisdom. So often we move through life thinking people are making us angry or disrespecting us or hurting our feelings, but really what's happening is deeper. They're just bumping into a part of us that hasn't been healed, that quick snap back, that silent retreat, that cold distance you give someone without even thinking. That's not just about what they did. That's about what still lives inside of you. Pain that never got processed, stories that never got rewritten, and sometimes even grief that never got named. The truth is, your reactions are some of the greatest teachers you will ever have. They point you to where your work is. They highlight where your walls are. They tell you exactly where your heart needs gentleness and truth and grace. And I know it's uncomfortable. It's easier to blame someone else than it is to look at the parts of ourselves we've ignored. But if you want to grow, if you want to heal, you've got to stop asking, why did they do that to me? And start asking, what inside me just got activated by that moment? Now, don't get me wrong. Not all reactions come from wounds. Sometimes they come from wisdom, that strong no that rises up inside you when someone crosses a boundary you've worked hard to build. That's not fear, that's clarity. That's the voice of a woman or a man who's done the work, who knows their worth, who's not willing to betray themselves just to be accepted. That kind of reaction is holy, it's rooted. It's not reactive, it's asterisk responsive asterisk. It doesn't come to destroy, it comes to protect. And here's the thing, both the wounded reactions and the wise ones can exist in the same person. In the same day, in the same breath. Growth isn't about never reacting. It's about becoming aware asterisk while asterisk you react. It's about catching yourself in the middle of that trigger and asking, where is this coming from? Instead of trying to control the world around you so you never get triggered again. I want you to know, it's okay to feel things deeply. It's okay to be sensitive. But what's not okay is allowing unhealed pain to become your compass. Because if you don't heal it, you'll project it. You'll bleed on people who didn't cut you. You'll punish the present for the sins of the past. And that's not the life you deserve. You deserve to be free. You deserve to respond from wholeness, not just survive through defense. So the next time something shakes you, instead of judging yourself or blaming them, pause long enough to ask, asterisk, is this a wound or is this wisdom? Asterisk, that one question can shift everything. Let me tell you something I learned in some of the darkest moments of my life. Gratitude doesn't mean you're ignoring the pain. It doesn't mean you're pretending everything's fine when it's not. It doesn't mean you've got to smile when your heart is breaking. Real gratitude, deep gratitude, comes not from denying what hurts, but from standing in the middle of what hurts and still choosing to honor what's still good. You see, it's easy to be grateful when the sun is shining, when the bills are paid, when love feels easy and the road is smooth. But life isn't always like that. Sometimes you're in the middle of loss, of heartbreak, of silence so loud it echoes through your soul. And it's in those moments when you feel like everything is slipping through your fingers that gratitude becomes not a feeling, but a decision, a declaration, a spiritual stance. Gratitude says, yes, this is hard, but I'm still here. It says, no, it didn't go the way I hoped, but I haven't given up. It whispers in your ear, there is still something beautiful worth noticing, even if it's just your breath, your strength, or the fact that you made it through another day. That kind of gratitude. That's power. That's resistance against despair. That's you reaching into the storm and saying, you won't take everything from me, I'm keeping my joy. I'm keeping my faith. I'm keeping my vision. And when you practice that kind of gratitude, something sacred happens. You begin to see differently. You stop measuring life by what's missing, and you start honoring what's present. You stop asking, why me? And start whispering, thank you for this moment, even if I don't understand it yet. That shift doesn't erase the pain, but it puts you back in your power. It reminds you that your spirit is bigger than your struggle. And sometimes it's the little things that bring you back. The warmth of your tea in the morning, a song that hits your soul just right, the way the sun touches your skin when you walk outside. These aren't small things, these are anchors. They remind you that even when life feels chaotic, there is still beauty, there is still softness, there is still something to hold on to. Gratitude is not naive. It doesn't mean you're okay with how someone treated you. It doesn't mean you ignore the trauma. It means you refuse to let those things define your whole story. It means you still see the sacred in the middle of the mess. And when you live that way, when you wake up and say, I don't have it all, but I've got enough for today, you begin to unlock peace that pain can't touch. Because in the end, gratitude is not about pretending life is perfect. It's about choosing to see the light, even when you're walking through the dark. There was a time in my life when silence made me uncomfortable. I thought it meant something was wrong. Like if things got quiet, it meant something was missing. I was used to noise, constant doing, constant fixing, constant reaching. I thought stillness meant I wasn't growing. But I've come to learn that silence isn't emptiness. Silence is where the truth begins to speak. We fill our lives with so much sound. Conversations, notifications, opinions always trying to stay busy, always trying to avoid the quiet. Because in the quiet, we have to face ourselves, and that's not always easy. The silence will bring things to the surface that distraction has kept buried. It will show you who you're pretending to be and who you really are underneath it all. It will reveal your deepest fears, but also your deepest wisdom. And here's what I know for sure. The most powerful answers don't always come in the noise. They come in the stillness. When you stop chasing, stop forcing, stop trying to control every outcome, that's when the real guidance begins to rise. That's when the next right step becomes clear. You don't have to have all the answers today, but if you give yourself permission to be still, the answer you need will meet you where you are. Sometimes silence is the healing. You don't need more advice. You need space to hear your own voice again. You need space to feel your soul again. The version of you that's not trying to prove anything, not trying to win anyone's approval. Just being, just breathing, just present. And I promise you, that asterisk version of you knows exactly what's needed next. You just have to get quiet enough to listen. There's a reason why people retreat to the wilderness, why spiritual breakthroughs often happen in solitude, why clarity tends to show up after a long walk or a deep breath. It's because when the world quiets down, the soul starts speaking, and it doesn't yell, it doesn't rush, it whispers softly, clearly, steadily. But we've gotten so conditioned to noise that we mistake the whisper for nothing, when really it's everything. I want you to stop being afraid of the silence in your life, that relationship that went quiet, that season where everything slowed down, that moment where nothing seemed to be happening. That's not punishment. That's preparation. That's the pause before the shift. That's the soil being watered before the breakthrough blooms. Because silence isn't the absence of something, it's the presence of revelation. So the next time you find yourself in a quiet moment, don't rush to fill it. Don't panic, just be there, just breathe. Let the noise fade. Let the truth rise. Because in that stillness, Something sacred is unfolding, and if you're patient enough to listen, it will show you exactly what your spirit's been waiting to hear.